What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Pick6 podcast show. I'm your host, Musa. I got my guy, Clips and Mike here today. How's everyone doing?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
Doing great, man. We had some good college football games this past weekend. We got some big shakeups that popped up. We're going to get into all of that good stuff, man. But I know what everyone's here for, so we're going to get right into it. And that is the new updated college football playoff bracket. Now, we have some shakeups. We have some crazy losses, some crazy upsets, and we have some statement wins. Of course, we're going to touch base on the Miami loss to Georgia Tech, Georgia losing to Ole Miss. But first things first, we're going to get right into the brackets. Now, here's the updated brackets from this week after last week's games. Here, as you can see, we have Oregon at 1. I know I had to give suspense on the pause. We have Oregon at 1, Texas at 2, BYU moved up to 3rd, Miami has fallen to 4. So not a major drop off, but you know, some type of backwards movement considering the loss of Georgia Tech that was unexpected. Then we have Ohio State at 5, Penn State 6, Indiana 7, Tennessee at 8, Notre Dame 9. Alabama moved up 1 spot to 10 after their win over LSU. We have 11 Ole Miss, who beat Georgia. And then we have Boise State at 12 still. And as you can see, everyone that's watching, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. There is no Georgia on this bracket. Seems like we had a swap between Georgia and Ole Miss. So I'll let hear you guys' thoughts on this bracket. Did they get it right? Is something they need to switch and shake up? You guys let me know.
My glaring main point is Miami at number 4. I think SMU should be there. Their only loss is to BYU. And Miami, they've had a loss, and they're going to have to play SMU in the championship game. Now, I think Miami should still be in the playoff bracket. They should not be at number 4. SMU should be at number 4. And I forget if they're ranked higher or not than Boise in the AP. If they were, I know Boise would move up to 4, and then they would be 5. But I think Miami should still be in the playoff, maybe taking Ole Miss's spot. But I think SMU should be up there, and that's the other team I don't agree with. I don't think Ole Miss should be on this board. I know they beat Georgia, but they had a bad loss to Kentucky. And they had another loss too. I don't remember who it was offhand, but those are the only two I really have a problem with, to be honest with you. Alabama, I don't really know how I feel about them being up there either. They're interchangeable with Georgia, but we'll see what happens. And then once again, Boise State, I know they're projecting with Boise State, and I know their only losses to Oregon, but I think you got to put Army up there until they have that Notre Dame game. If they lose to Notre Dame, by all means, put Boise State up there. But I just think you got to go with the undefeated group of 5 team first, unless you want to include both of them. So I wouldn't even be mad at substituting Alabama out for Army. I know the strength of schedule hasn't been hard, but they've done the best with what they've had to work with.
Fair enough. Right now, I'm gonna pull up Ole Miss's schedule, look at their losses. Ole Miss is currently 8-2. Of course, like Mike said, one of their big wins came recently against Georgia. But they lost to Kentucky, like you said, and they lost to LSU in overtime. So, I mean, considering that Alabama moved up a spot for being LSU this past week, I'm not mad at Ole Miss being there. We talked about this in the private chat. I still feel like Georgia should have been in here. But we got a special guest here. Let me pull him up. We got Peso here. Peso came in just in time for his favorite part of the show, the brackets. But yeah, I feel like Georgia still should have been on the list. Um, but I'll go further on that in a moment. Pace, if you there, Clips, if you there, if you guys want to share your thoughts on this bracket, they got it right. Mike believes SMU should be there. He thinks Ole Miss should probably can get moved out, and Army should be in over Boise State. But I'll let hear you guys' thoughts on this.
What's good, fellas? What's going on? This is tough right here. I'm not gonna lie, and it's kind of tough for me right now because I had Georgia going to the national championship,
We all did last week,
and yeah, they're not here right now. So, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna switch my pick. I still got Georgia, finding their way in here. I think there's still 4 weeks left for football.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So we got teams like Ohio State and Indiana about to play this week. Georgia actually plays Tennessee this week, and I think Georgia's going to have win that game, so that's going to shake things up. And Texas plays Texas A&M. I think that's going to be huge in like 2 weeks.
Yep, because Texas plays Arkansas this week.
Yeah,
and Colorado has Utah.
Yeah, so a lot of things are going to shake up. I definitely do agree with Mike. I would have liked to see SMU, at least another ACC team in there. Notre Dame, I'm not really too high on. We'll see what they do. I think they're going to make it in by default, just given how things are going to shake up the next couple of weeks. And I know Miami only lost one game, but for them to slide down to still be in the top 10, I was kind of disappointed because I think they lost, and it was another team that lost. It's not on top of my head, but I had Colorado sliding down like lower than where they're at right now at 18. I thought they was going to at least make it to 15, 16. I thought SMU was going to slide down to the top 12, but they moved back, unfortunately, because Miami they still had to wiggle some room in there for Miami to get in there. So there's still a lot of football left, and we just said it last week. Things were going to change, and look at it now.
Yeah, for sure. I think Miami's good where they're at. I think being in the top 4, at least for now, is okay with me, considering that is this their one loss. If you look at the top 4 teams, they all have at least one, if not no losses. I get it though. The loss Miami had to like Georgia Tech is an alarming one, considering that they came close to losing already throughout the season to some questionable teams. But I'm not mad at the panel voting for them to stay at least in the top 4 for now and earning that bye.
It's like we Ole Miss shouldn't be in there, but we said the same thing about Alabama last week, and unfortunately, both of those teams beat Georgia. So I have to respect seeing those names in there before Georgia. So,
and now something I was actually going to touch base on. Yes, I would agree with that too. They both beat Georgia, but at the same time, I don't know. I just don't think it's not out of all these 12 teams here. I can't get a handful of teams that's on this 12 that are better than Georgia. But I know that's not what this is about. It's about who has the records, who had a tougher competition, and things of that nature. So I can understand that too. But I feel like Georgia's still going to be able to make this college football playoff. Because I feel like there's a couple of these teams that's just not going to make it. Tennessee's going to play, I believe, Bama this week, you said, or Texas in a couple weeks.
They play Georgia.
Georgia, yeah. I think Georgia's going to win that game. Indiana, I feel like, is going to lose maybe a game or two at some point before we get the final roster.
Oh, they play Ohio. They play Ohio State next week.
That's a loss. But hear me out though. If Indiana wins that game, that's why I love this new thing of having 12 teams, because it could go either way.
If Indiana wins, they're going to number 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Indiana wins, they're gonna be a top 4 team.
They can't though because you have Oregon in that conference, and the top fours are reserved for the top four top conference teams. The only way that one of these top 4 teams goes out is if the group at 5 team, which is Boise State, has a higher AP ranking than them.
Okay.
Oh, the way the bracket would be set up, but they would still be considered the top 4 ranked team in the country.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the AP, I could see that they'd go up in the AP for sure.
Yeah. How you guys feel about Ohio State still being at 5? Do you think they could have moved up? Or they're good where they're in the right position?
Ohio State's at 5 now. Okay, we're talking CFB bracket. I think I think they're fine where they are. Oregon's the number 1 team in the nation, of course. BYU, respect to them because they're the best in their conference. And they're also undefeated still. I wouldn't put them over any of those 4 top teams, especially, because Oregon's right there. They're in the same conference, so you can't put them above them. They are the 5th best next team, technically, according to the CFB bracket. I don't think Miami's better than them. I don't think teams like BYU or Texas is better than them. But according to how this bracket is going to play out and how they do it, like conference-wise, yeah, they are right where they belong, I believe.
So right now, I believe the only 2 teams on this list with more than 1 loss is Bama and
Ole Miss.
They're the only 2 teams. So with that being said, I'm actually in agreement with Mike. I think a SMU team, Army, should be considered for this bracket. Now, I know there's a lot of politics that go in it because of the conference, strength of schedule, which Mike has a trivia for us in a moment or later on in the show about some strength of schedule teams that have 8-1 records. Stay tuned for that. I think they deserve to at least get some recognition and be in this position. And this is coming from someone that says Colorado is going to win out and make the college football playoff bracket. So I think for me, just because how we grew up with the only top 4 teams making it, it's hard for me to see a team with 2 losses be in position to play for the Natty game. But considering what the expansion, I guess they're going to have to look at the strength of schedule, depending on who you lost to. Because it's looking like that loss to LSU for Ole Miss is a little bit more alarming considering that Bama just beat them, right? When you look at it. Granted, it took overtime, but still, it gets dicey at the end of the day. But
one thing I want to point out that might get a little tricky is this SEC conference. Now, Texas A&M plays Texas soon. So say if Texas A&M wins that game, and Alabama, I believe, has to play Oklahoma. They got Mercer next. I believe they play Oklahoma after that.
You talking about Alabama?
Yeah.
I'll listen to right now.
If Texas A&M beats Texas and Alabama loses another game, are both of those teams still going to be like, where does Texas A&M go at that point? Alabama probably would slide out, but how are we doing this SEC conference at that point?
So first thing I would say is if Bama loses another game, I don't see them making the college playoff. It's hard for me to see a team with 3 losses make it. I'll just be honest with you. Unless they find some way to where they lose a 3rd game and SEC collapses in the last 3 weeks, and for somehow they can squeeze their way into a conference championship game. Sure, but Alabama's schedule, they have Mercier next, which I believe is a win. They're at Oklahoma, and then they got a tough game at the end of the year. They're gonna play Auburn, and Auburn ain't what it used to be, but Auburn's always a tough SEC matchup nonetheless.
They should win all 3 of those games, but if Texas A&M beats Texas A&M is in the SEC championship game.
And then Alabama slides out. What if Alabama doesn't lose? What if Alabama
No, Texas would slide out.
And that's the part where it gets tricky because we're talking about a top 5 ranked team right now, if I'm correct, is going to slide all the way out of this bracket if they lose with only 2 losses here. So they'll have 2 losses along with Alabama, along with Georgia, if Ole Miss wins out along with them too. But Texas A&M would slide all the way from, I believe they're 14, 15 right now, all the way into top 12.
Well, that's just like how SMU is. They're out of this looking in, and they're in the lead in the ACC, but yet somehow we still have Miami up here. They're going to have to play each other in the championship game unless both of these teams collapse in the ACC. And only if I can't see them giving can't see them giving SMU a playoff berth if they lose to Miami in that championship game, even though that means their only 2 losses will be to BYU and Miami. But let's see if SMU wins out, I'm sure they'll put Miami in the championship, but it's going to be interesting to see how they go about that. I saw you put a comment.
Hold on,
so you can
real quick, y'all.
So is there still SEC bias?
Shout out to Gumpman72 with the comment. Is there still SEC bias? I believe there is. I think as long as you got Bama, Georgia, and those teams being as well, Alabama's now is not as dominant as they have been in the past. But as long as you have those teams being as dominant as they are, I think there will be SEC bias.
But define that. Like, which way are we swaying when we're talking about bias? As far as like everybody still jumping on the wagon as what the SEC is still the best conference in the college football ever right now? Yes, they still are. Look at all these teams, and the teams still outside looking in. HDT, well, okay, I'm not going to be vulgar on this, but who are we? We are the Pick6 podcast, the Grade A show. Make sure you like and subscribe and share with all your friends and family.
Yes, sir. Tell a friend and tell a friend. We are live every Wednesday and Sunday for football with the Pick6 crew. Wednesdays at 6:15, 6:20. Sundays at 11:15, right before kickoff. And basketball, we are live on Saturdays at 12.
And do me a favor, HDTV, whatever your name is, man. Get a new YouTube account and change that name, brother, man.
Yes, sir. How is SEC bias when Georgia's currently out? Well, that's because Georgia's still going to find a way to get in.
And Georgia's not the only best team, the only good team, let me say that, in the SEC.
Oh, the SMU's not in SEC. No, wrong.
No, they're in the ACC.
ACC.
Let's not forget the teams that got added into the SEC, like Texas. Oklahoma ain't that good this year, of course, but Texas A&M and other teams like that. Hey, I respect the HGTV. Shout out to you, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Gumpman72, who's your favorite teams? This is my first time here. Oh, for sure. Mike, I'll let you go first, and then we can just go down the list.
From NFL, I'm a huge Dolphins fan. College, I'm not really a huge college guy, but my favorite teams to watch this year so far have probably been Indiana. I know they haven't really played anyone, and UNLV. I had high hopes for them this year, but after the tough loss to Syracuse and Boise, that's not going to happen. Them getting in the playoff, unfortunately.
Clips, you there?
Yo, yeah, I'm him.
Question was, who's our favorite team? So if you want, you can talk NFL and you can talk college.
So for the NFL, I got like 2 teams I'm really high on. I'm high on Buffalo, and I'm high on Houston. Those are my 2 favorite teams right now in the NFL. And then college, you already know I'm rocking with Dion, Shadur, and them boys. You can see my
What's his name?
Shadur, Dion,
Here
and
we
the
go.
boys. Shadur. And then I'm a big Archie Manning and a Texas fan, so those are the 2 teams I rock with in college football.
Peso. Oh, Peso turned off the camera for this.
You know I'm going with the dogs, baby. Nah, let me get off the camera. Nah, man, but Georgia Bulldogs all the way. 2021, 2022 champs. Kirby Smart, one of the best college coaches to coach college football. NFL, man, I'm going with the Pats all the way, man. Hometown team, man. But Gumpman, what is your favorite college football team?
Oh, he got his comment. I'm about to pull it up right after.
We need to know that.
He got his I got his comment ready in a moment.
But college, man, I'm a fan of a bunch of teams, man. I'm a fan of a bunch of teams, but Georgia's my team, though.
Sure. So my favorite team. I'm a Patriots fan first and foremost, hometown team. City of champions. But currently, who I like to watch because my team's in a rebuild, so it's okay. I lived long enough to see them win all 6 of them rings, championships. So I'm good if we don't win another one. But favorite player I like right now, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. Those are my favorite guys to watch. So obviously, I'm rooting for either the Ravens or the Chiefs to come out and win the Super Bowl this year. I have, no matter who it is, but those are the guys I'm rooting for. I personally will want to see Lamar win this year because I want him to get that ring. So when the commercial ads come up after the Super Bowl, you're going to see him on stage when he got drafted. He's going to get a Super Bowl for the Baltimore. I want to see that come to light. College football, I don't really have a favorite team for college football. I kind of like players. Like, I don't really stick to one team of college. I kind of like to see how the players play. So some players I like to watch. I like Nico from Tennessee. Of course, I love Colorado, Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn, Shador. I like the Williams from Alabama, the wide receiver. I know you high on him, Gump man, since you're a Bama fan.
Yo, God. Go ahead.
Who else I like? Sean Genty from Boise State. I love how he plays. I'm not a big Dylan Gabriel fan, but I'm a huge Oregon fan because of their uniforms. By far the best uniforms at college ever. Like, it don't even matter. That's just a couple of things I like to list off. But real quick, Gumpman said his favorite team's Alabama. Roll Tide. Let's go. Yes, sir. He's a Titans fan. Oh, man. I feel bad for you, man. Y'all let go Henry to let my boy Lamar get him. So I actually appreciate you for that.
Yo,
It's the
shout
GM.
out, man. Shout out Alabama, man. I'm not one of them Georgia fans that, are going to sit here and downplay the matchups or anything or make it seem like Georgia completely better than Alabama or anything like that. But shout out to them, man. They always give a fight. It's always a good game between, both teams and stuff like that. But shout out to Bama and them boys.
And see, HGTV, you know ball. That will be a dope commercial. See, NFL, Nike, whoever it is that run that, hire your boy. I know ball. I've been waiting for that commercial to come out. Hopefully I get to see it because as bad as she's been playing, them Chiefs look like they ain't going nowhere anytime soon. Oh, Mike, we got a great comment for you. If y'all don't know, Mike's the best when it comes to these spreads. Mike, HGTV has a comment. He said, do you think Georgia's going to cover the -10 against the Rocky Top?
No, I do not. I think it's going to be a one-score game. I think the way Carson Beck is right now, how can you lay 10 with him against any team in the SEC right now?
Hold on, we talking about the matchup against Tennessee.
Yeah, he asked if HGTV asked, do we think Georgia covers the -10 spread against Tennessee? I don't think so either. Carson Beck has not looked good this year. I wasn't high on him, to be honest. A lot of scouts was high on him being a first-round pick. I don't see that at all. I think there's only 2 quarterbacks that's clear-cut first-round picks in this draft, and that's Cam Ward and Shador Sanders. But, yeah, I don't think they cover. I think they win by more than a 7-score game. I think they win by 10. But 10, not 10. I'm sorry. I think they win by like 8. It's going to be some weird number, 8 or below. But I don't think they cover the 10.
If Gabriel makes the national championship, you don't got him going first round?
Dylan Gabriel, no.
Okay.
Depends on how desperate teams are, to be honest with you.
There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. I'm not a fan of him, but I think somebody might snatch him first round.
Gutman with another comment. No, they won't cover. Beck is awful, and Tennessee's only giving up 18 points per game. Though Nico probably won't play, I expect low-scoring, 1-score game.
I could definitely agree with that. I would stay away from that personally. The past 2 weeks, what Georgia's been doing on the offensive end has been terrible. And Tennessee ain't no slouch.
HGTV said he's hearing that Nico's not going to play. Does that change your answer? I can see Georgia's defense feasting at home against a backup.
And I definitely do agree with that, especially coming out off of the loss. So, but I personally would stay away from that.
Yeah. All in all, I probably will stay away from that bet because that is a good point you bring up. But that's been their saving grace, which is why I think they will get back in the college football playoff because as horrible as Beck has been, that defense finds ways to get the job done and give them the offense at least favorable field to where they can capitalize off of it. And it showed against Texas. I believe it was Texas earlier this year that they played. If I'm not mistaken.
Georgia has to win this game this week. If they lose this week, of course, there's no chance they're making it in. But if they win, I think they're a lot.
So real quick, I'm glad you brought it up. I'm gonna pull up their schedule. I'm gonna keep the bracket up for everyone that's watching can see. For those watching, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend. But I'm gonna pull up the Georgia schedule, see if we think they can win out. Because I'm on the same accord as you, Peso. If Georgia loses, just like Alabama loses another game, I don't see them making the playoffs. I just don't see in any world where a three-loss team makes it. So give me 1 second. I'm about to pull that up right now for you guys. Are there any other glaring things you guys notice about this bracket so far this week that is questionable?
I think Penn State's a fraud, if you want my honest opinion.
Let's talk about it. I'll pull up the schedule for Georgia. We can talk about Penn State.
Mike, I was just about to say, I feel like Penn State is just sitting there, just hiding behind the wall right now. I think they still gonna make it in there, but I think they're gonna get rolled out quick in the first round. If they play Ole Miss, I'm not locking Ole Miss in there, but I would take Ole Miss right now if the playoffs was to start today.
Sir. Another comment. Exactly. This seems to be a win in an end game for the Dogs. Might throw a grip on the money line.
Mm-hmm. That's a smart way to play it. Just see if Nico plays and just gauge it off the first two series. But I just with the way Tennessee's been winning games, I don't think it's not like a huge drop off like it is in the NFL from starter to backup. I think even if he doesn't play, I don't think they're going to win regardless. I still got Georgia, but I think I think Tennessee will cover because even if that way you got two ways to win too, they can still lose the game, and as long as it's not by 10, you're good.
Yeah, man, and bet responsibly. Always bet responsibly. Gumpman72 with another comment. Colts were desperate enough to draft a project in Anthony Richardson, so I wouldn't be surprised if Dylan Gabriel gets drafted in the first or second round. NFL is quarterback crazy. Also, just subscribe. Well, we appreciate you first and foremost for subscribing, man. It's free to show love, so we appreciate that. But back to your comment. Yes, that was true. They were desperate for a quarterback. I also know that they were picking in the top 4, if I'm not mistaken, when Richardson was ready for that draft. So for sure, I can see Dylan Gabriel getting drafted in the first round, depending on where all the seeding's at. Last time they mentioned it, I believe the Pats was number 1. I think the Saints was 4 or 3. And the Raiders, I don't believe, was in the top 6. Yeah, I think it was like 7 or 8. So that could be a possibility. With Tom Brady having part ownership in that team, I can definitely see him trying to get a quarterback. I think he goes and gets your door. I think they find a way to try to get lower in the draft and get him. But definitely. Gutman with another comment. If Texas loses to Texas A&M, they won't make the playoff at 10-2. They, like Penn State, will have to have 0 ranked wins and will have lost the only ranked teams they have played.
And that's what I was saying.
I apologize for my reading. It's been a long day. I got y'all. I'm on L host vibes right now. It's all good.
That's what I was saying. Exactly my point. If Texas loses, they're going to be one of the 10-2 teams that don't make it in there, unfortunately.
Nah, that's a very valid point. Very, very, very valid point. AG with another comment. Disagree, Gumpman. College football isn't letting a 2-loss Texas sit at home. I was actually going to see me. AG might know ball for real because I was actually going to play devil's advocate. I was going to say if they can allow a team like Georgia, well, currently I'll use Alabama because they're still in the bracket, and they're going to let Bama sit in this bracket with a 2-loss after they lost to Vanderbilt. But they kicked Texas out for losing to Texas A&M.
So check this out, right? Let me ask y'all this: If Georgia beats Tennessee this week, you think they climb over Ole Miss and Alabama in the rankings?
One more time, if Georgia beats who?
If Georgia
Tennessee.
beats Tennessee this week, you think they climb over Ole Miss and Alabama in the standings? You think they'll be the number 1 seed in the SEC if Texas was to lose to Texas A&M?
No, I can't buy what you selling on that, brother. No,
I think next week they could be. So let's say right now we got Tennessee at 8. We could see Notre Dame move up to 8, and Ole Miss and Bama move up 1 spot, and have Tennessee be out of the playoff, and then have Georgia occupy that 11 spot where Ole Miss is right now. I could see that happening, but I don't know. It's gonna this bracket. I'm telling you, it's gonna change between now and the end of the conference championship games.
for sure. Guntman, I'm glad I'm gonna put his comment back up there. Well, I'm gonna start with the first one. He said Texas' best win is against Vanderbilt. Though I could see it with Texas still getting in. Fair point. Yep. And your last comment, we actually talked about that early in the show. You can't rank Georgia over 2 teams they lost to. That's exactly what we was talking about. Earlier.
It was ranked over Alabama the week before this, and they lost to them.
Yeah.
That's
And
because Bama had 2 losses though, and Georgia only had 1.
and then also, but I think that's what we was talking about that earlier, Mike, before everyone got joined. It was Ole Miss beating Georgia and swapping with them. Essentially, if you not at the exact number on this bracket, but essentially they basically swapped them out with the voters or panelists, whatever you want to title them, who does this weekly. They swapped them out. And yet LSU is the team that they both lost to. So it's kind of like, well, Bama beat LSU, Ole Miss lost LSU. So it's kind of like neck and neck. But that's the same process we had with Georgia, the reason why I brought that back up. So appreciate that. AG with another comment. There will be 4 SEC teams in: Texas, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss. They all beat each other. College football will have them duke it out in the playoffs. Well, in that case, that goes back to the comment we had earlier with the SEC getting the cop-outs. Because if they're gonna have
it sucks because we're not gonna see teams like SMU in there for reasons like this. I just sorry to see how it's gonna play out.
So Pace, right before you joined, I was telling Mike, and he probably was on when I said this, but either or, those watching, I mentioned that I would love to see teams like SMU. To Mike's point, this was Mike's point, but I wanted to amplify it. I want to see teams like SMU and Army get at least some recognition on this list because they deserve it. I know their strength of schedule, that competition is not ideal to what some of these other college football teams are, but the point of this 12-man or 12-team tournament or bracket is to get teams like those a chance in it. Because though I don't know how far HG and Gutman goes back, but there was back when Shaquille Griffin was playing on UCF, they went undefeated, and they couldn't even get into playoffs because there was only the top 4 teams.
That might have been even top 2 with the BCS.
Exactly.
I hear you on the Army thing, man, but
I'm not. So let me clarify for those. I'm not saying Army should actually get in and play for the Natty. I'm just saying right now, when we have the final few weeks, they should at least get a recognition, like put them up there because. You got team, especially if Bama and Georgia lose again. Ain't no way hell I want to see a 3-team lost team up there before team that hadn't lost a game yet. I don't, regardless of the strength of schedule.
So if Army beats Notre Dame, you're gonna put in Boise State over them? Peso? I'm just curious about that.
If Army beats Notre Dame, I'm putting Army and Boise State in.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Huh?
That's just me. Because especially like we said last week, if Boise State wins out, they deserve to be in. I want to see the runner-up or the winner of the Heisman play for the Natty. Because the other winner, potential runner-up, and those who don't know me, yes, I'm biased. Travis Hunter, Colorado, is going to win out and get in. You heard it here first. I've been saying it for the last 2-3 weeks.
If Oregon wins out, though, I don't see how Gabriel doesn't get the Heisman because it's more of a quarterback and a team award.
Yeah, real quick, but I'm trying to let me catch up to these comments. We got a lot of comments coming in. We appreciate everybody watching, liking, subscribing, and leaving comments. Guntman said if Indiana loses by 14 plus points to Ohio State, they won't make the playoffs. Yeah, I think they're on fool's
You
gold.
said,
Fraud.
wait. If Indiana
Yeah,
loses by 14, they won't make the playoffs. So slow down.
no,
They
I,
still,
I think Indiana's on fraud watch, just like y'all how y'all feel about Penn State. But that just could be me.
I mean, I agree, but one
That could
loss
be me.
to Ohio State is not going to take them out the playoffs. They'll still be in the top 10.
so you have to look at here though what the SEC and the Big Ten has done. Indiana, they thought they were going to be a bottom of the conference team, so they gave them a very favorable schedule. Same thing with Texas in the SEC too. Seeing it's their first year, they just gave them a warm up, and they're trying to do that because both. I know the SEC did, and I don't know if the Big Ten did. But they wanted 3 to 4 automatic bids from the top teams in their conference to get in, so they're trying to get around it this way.
HG, I actually agree with that comment. You will see a lot of Big Ten and SEC teams in for sure. I definitely agree with that. Real quick, let me get through these comments. Guntman with another comment. Army beats Notre Dame, they will get in over Boise State. I think that might be the case too. I would want both of them in, especially if Boise State.
Yeah, and we're going to see another TCU type matchup in the playoffs.
Don't wish that upon nobody. Don't wish that upon my eyes. I don't want to see that.
BYU is the TCU of this year, though.
But
in my opinion.
I will say this: Army gets in over Notre Dame, especially if Boise State loses. So, and that's the thing about these smaller teams, right? It's tough because if Boise State already has one loss, if they lose another game, they ain't making it. Compared to these other teams like Bama and Georgia, they get multiple chances, but that's due to the strength of schedule. So I understand the logic behind it. I just don't agree with it, but. Who am I, right? I'm someone that talks about it. I'm not the one actually voting on these things. I wish, but I'm not. So, Gruntled boy, shout out to you with the comment. If Army goes undefeated, they better get in. I agree. I'm on the same fence as you.
I would love to see it, but I also don't want to see them get smacked up. So,
Gutman, no 3-loss team is getting in. I would hope so.
ESPN's
we all know
trying.
We had some questionable people get in with some questionable schedules. Not with 3 losses, of course, but we know we have some questionable college football playoff brackets from years past. So, for sure.
ESPN's trying to push that already, though, saying that a 3-loss SEC team might get in. So that might be laying a seed for us.
Mm-hmm. Gutman, who else? Boise State good win. Washington State.
You're right about that, but we talking about Army and who was their good win. You got to respect the record. You got to respect. I mean, hey, Ashton Gentry, man. If it wasn't for Travis Hunter, he'll be my Heisman pick.
UNLV is probably their top win, and that they almost beat. They played Oregon. They outplayed Oregon, even though they lost. That's why the committee has them so high, in my opinion. Along with Genty too, they want to push in.
Gutman, only one group of 5 team will make the playoffs. Yeah, that's a fair point. Fair point. HGTV with another comment. Correct. The committee doesn't want Boise, Army, and BYU in. They will get boat raced by the top teams.
I'm not with you on BYU. But
y'all think so? Let's talk. Y'all think BYU legit?
They're as legit as anyone in their conference. The conference blows, and they've beat SMU. That's a non-conference game, but that conference is terrible.
If Penn State advances right now and the playoffs started today, I got BYU.
So we actually gonna get into that before we get into the Miami first loss of the season, which we touched base on a little bit, but real quick. I just want to ask you guys, because we did this last week, so I want to do it again this week. Now, based on what we have for schedule right here, only the teams here, and it's just us 3, and those in the comments, you could comment to be the tiebreaker for sure. Definitely leave a comment. We're going to start with the first round. Boise State, Ohio State. Who would win that matchup right now?
I got Ohio State.
I got Ohio State too.
Y'all know where I'm going with this. I'm consistent. I did this last week. And it's so fitting because now they play Ohio State. So those watching, I said last week, Ashawn Genty, what if he has an Ezekiel Elliott moment? And what better way to do it than against Ohio State?
My thing is that I keep watching Boise State. When they played recently against Nevada, I mean, it was a struggle with them. 14-14 going into the halftime. I mean, that against Ohio State, you're not, nah.
Yeah, they're
And
not
Gentry's out here averaging 200 yards easily, and they still are barely beating teams. So I feel you, but I don't think they match up well with Ohio State.
You know I'm all about the underdog story, man. So for sure, you know I'm going with Boise State. But Gutman also agreed. Ohio State by 21. So Ohio State will get the nod. I lost out. That's okay. I'm fine with that. Next matchup, we got Notre Dame and Tennessee. I'm going Notre Dame.
It was a coin flip game, in my opinion, but I got to go with really I want to see too is who has home field, because Tennessee, they don't right now, but I'm curious to see if it flips around, because these SEC teams really haven't played in much cold weather, so I think that would be a little bit interesting. Right now, I'm going to go with Notre Dame though.
Fair point. Now that's a great fair point.
Because if Nico, if he's still not healthy by then, if they have to go in and play Notre Dame with them, that's a loss. I said, like right now with the way Beck's playing, I think they can keep that sort of one-score game without him. But if you have to go into Notre Dame in a playoff game, I don't know. I don't see that happening.
So Gutman has Tennessee in a close game. He said both offenses aren't very good. I agree. But I'm still going to go with Notre Dame on a slight edge. Peso, who you got?
This is a disgusting matchup to me.
It's the battle of the two ugly chicks. Peso, which ugly chick you got?
Man, if I had to pick, man, the thing is Notre Dame.
Which ugly chick you picking? The one with the bag on their head, or the one that hides underneath the bed?
Well, I ain't gonna pick the ugly chick that almost lost to Georgia Tech earlier in the season, and they've been barely slipping by two with their games. They also another team that has a pretty easy schedule, in my opinion. So I will go with Tennessee.
We got a split with Tennessee and Notre Dame, so we'll come back to that at some point. So let those watching leave a comment so we can break this tie. Who would you have winning in the first matchup? Notre Dame versus Tennessee. Based on the seeding, Tennessee will be the home field for this game. We're only going to pick the teams that are picked this week. We're going to continue to do this each week until it's the final 12 teams, and then we will make our predictions. So next up, we have Ole Miss and Penn State. And I already can tell where this is going to go, so I'm going to join with you guys. Ole Miss wins this game.
Yep.
Yeah, I ain't got to ask me that.
Yeah.
Gutman, Ole Miss will wax Penn State until Penn State wins a big game, wins a big game. I'm never picking them. I agree. They are the Fool's Golds. They are the Milwaukee Bucks. They are the Philadelphia 76ers. What team you want to call them?
Why?
The Minnesota Vikings.
I ain't going that far.
The Minnesota Vikings.
One thing we got to remember is Ole Miss going into Happy Valley. It could be 20 degrees out when they play this game and snowing. What did any of these kids at Ole Miss know about playing in the snow? I still got Ole Miss, but I'm just saying we got to remember this stuff.
That is true. These playoff games are played at these home fields.
We got a tiebreaker, fellas. Tyrese, the peanut. Shout out to Tyrese, man. We appreciate you with the comment. They got Tennessee.
Tyrese, man, do me a favor. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, baby.
Well, I feel like that's Ty.
Yeah.
I only know him by Ty. So
if that's Ty with that picture, we gotta have.
I was that. That's like Mr. GQ right there. Hold on now, Ty. You gotta teach your boy.
Oh, that's G. Oh, my phone, Ty. That look like a chick, real quick. I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone, yo. So don't mind me. It's a little far away,
bro. You can't do that to that man, bro. Look like a chick. Come on, fam. Pace, are you wrong for that?
I mean, pull it back up. I gotta look a little bit closer,
bro. You know that is a GQ album cover. That is Drake. Nothing was the same.
Right. See, I had to turn my phone sideways a little bit. My fault, Ty.
I look better than Drake.
It's all love and gravy, baby.
What we doing? All right, moving on. So we got Tennessee moving forward. So far we got Ohio State, Tennessee, Ole Miss. Before we get to Alabama, Indiana, Gutman with another comment. Alabama he's already ahead of the curve. Shout out to you, man. Alabama by 3 scores. Alabama has too much talent, and I just don't see Indiana keeping up with the depth of Bama. No disrespect to the Hoosiers. Milroe is electric. He is very electric. Yes, I agree. I will have Bama winning this matchup.
Is he really? Really?
Yes.
He's
With the
electric
ball in
for
his hands,
college.
yes. I don't know about throwing the ball. He has improved throwing the ball from this year to last year.
If we're talking about running, then yeah, I'm with you 100%.
And I think that's where Gutman is going with it, and I agree. And Gutman will probably come in and elaborate on his point, but I think that's where the buck stops right there. I think Melrose being able to run with the ball, he is going to hurt them on defense. And then
Let me
put more in the box, and then now you got Williams on the outside. The numbers going crazy.
Let me be straight with Milroe though. I think he's an amazing talent. I think he's going to be pretty decent in the NFL if he gets into the right scheme offensively. But I think the offensive play calling for Alabama sometimes kind of ruins it for him in the late games. The South Carolina game, the game, of course, they lost at the beginning of not beginning, but mid-year against Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I think they should. I wish Saban was still here. Saban would have helped him look a little bit better as far as the play calling goes.
If Saban was still in Alabama, I'd give Indiana more of a chance, seeing Signetti was under Saban for a while and worked for him. But I don't know how much DeBoer uses the same stuff that Saban did. I go, as of right now, I'm going Alabama in this matchup after how close Michigan came to Indiana this week. But I want to see them go up against Ohio State. That's the real measuring stick for me with this Indiana team. But as of right now, I'd have Alabama, but that could definitely change before this game happens, if it happens. But with with Milroe, the only thing I'm going to say about this, from where he was 2 years ago to where he is now is amazing, the progression. So I can see the future in him. But if someone drafts him, he's a project quarterback. If you try to play him right now in the NFL, he's going to look no different than Anthony Richardson. So he has the potential, and I'm very curious to see what he does into the future. And I'm curious to see where teams draft him as well, to see how the NFL guys value him.
For sure. Gutman, yes, they have committed to the run, which is why I wish they had Saban, because I think Saban would keep it a little bit more balanced, even though we know Saban's a run-heavy type of offense guy, but he knows how to balance it out, because you see all the weapons they had when you had Mac Jones there, you had Bryce Young there at receiver. So for sure, and you got Ryan Williams, who's a stud, like for sure. This is why I hate the whole you need to stay in the league for 3 years, college football for 3 years BS, because Williams don't need to be playing another season at Bama. He needs to be coming out to the NFL. He's that good, but that's just the rules. Gutman with another comment. Coaching has improved a lot for Bama lately. I agree. There's been some improvements in some key areas, which has helped them for sure. But yeah, with that being said, I just think Bama rolls Indiana. Moving on to our quarterfinals, we're going to start from the bottom to the top. So we have Bama versus Texas. I think we had that matchup last week, if I'm not mistaken. Who we got, Texas or Bama? This will be in Texas, by the way, because the semifinals and Natty games are on neutral sites.
I'd have to see. I got to see more. This is another coin flip game. As of right now, I'm gonna go with Texas, and I agree with you, Gump, man. He definitely needs to grow more.
Yeah, he's a rookie. He got a lot of time.
He's a freshman. He's only 17.
17, yeah.
He's still young.
I was thinking that. I ain't gonna lie, Gump, man. When I was getting on my little Ryan Williams rant, I was thinking that in my head. I was like, damn, he might need to stay one more year. Because he a little tiny, he little Slim Jim. You know, he's small. He's short in the tooth. But for sure, I think at least another season there. Come out at 18, going to 19, depending on when his birthday is. I think he'll be fine. But Gutman also got Bama in a close one. I'm with Clips on this. I know Clips had to go. I got Bama winning this game for the same reasons Clips had Texas losing last week when we did this. If Quinn Ewers is playing, taking Bama. If Archie Manning is playing, I'm taking Texas.
I don't know about that, man. Because as I said last week, I know it opens up the playbook more, but I don't think Archie's ready to play against Bama.
They ain't the old big bad Bama like they used to be now.
Yeah, but Archie don't have the experience. I understand he's more mobile, so you can do more stuff with him than you can with viewers, but it's just he doesn't have that experience yet. I know he played a little bit against Georgia, and what was the main start that I remember was against UL Monroe. So UL Monroe and Bama, that's two completely different beasts.
For sure. I acknowledge that for sure. Just like I acknowledge the tribal chief. But that's what
So yeah.
not that tribal chief. I don't love Solo over here. I like the original OTC. But that's enough of wrestling analogies. Texas and Bama, I think will come down to the line of scrimmages for sure. I'm gonna slide with Bama though on the close one. Okay, so who you got? Bama or Texas?
I think Bama will end up winning this game. Just because of the what Mike talked on. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be able to match up well with that defense over there.
Sure. So we got Bama moving on to the semifinals. Next, we got Ole Miss and BYU. This is gonna be a goodie.
If we talking Ole Miss, I got BYU. But if it was Penn State, I'll probably be on the other side with this one.
Wait, what you mean? One more time. Let me try. I understood what you meant by that.
If Penn State was to beat Ole Miss in this matchup, I will go with Penn State against BYU. But if Ole Miss goes, I got BYU.
Okay, so isn't Penn State the frauds though? That's why I had to make sure I heard him clearly.
I mean, I never said that they was fraudulent like that, but
so wait, let me get this straight. You think BYU legit, but you got the frauds beating the team that's legit.
I think it's going to be a close matchup, but I think Penn State will have the edge if they was to move on. I think coaching is gonna come in and play in that game, and I think if Ole Miss goes, I think BYU is just gonna beat them with straight speed.
I'm going Ole Miss because of defense. I don't think BYU faced the defensive line, and I think Gutman just said that too. So real quick, Ole Miss by a landslide. I don't agree with that part, but the part I do agree with that he touched right on when I was about to get into was the defensive line. I think Ole Miss's D line is going to get after BYU, and it's going to slow them down. And I think that's how Ole Miss wins that game. But as far as the Penn State being BYU part pacer that you mentioned, I ain't buying what you're selling. But yeah, I got Ole Miss over BYU.
I really don't even know what to think of BYU right now. I understand they beat SMU, but that was a long time ago, and no, they didn't have the limelight on them. No one expected them to be in this position right now, so I'm gonna go with Ole Miss strictly because of their defense. But don't get me wrong. If Jackson Dart has an off day, I could see BYU pulling this out, but I'm gonna pick Ole Miss.
So right now we got Ole Miss in the semis versus Bama, but we're gonna get to that. We'll get to that projection in a moment. Gutman, Big 12 or ACC? Which conference is worse?
Big 12.
Big 12.
No question about it.
That ain't a debate. Big 12 for sure. That's not a picking the two other chicks right there. That's a little better now. We got some worse and we got some mid. But
I mean, but besides Miami, SMU, who else is good?
Clemson.
Are they good or are they okay?
They're good when you compare them to the Big 12.
Yeah, that's what I agree on that because I know they had the only two losses.
I think BC better than a lot of teams in the Big 12. Now that we got Bill O'Brien, and ain't gonna stop improving on some things. But that's like down the line. That ain't currently to the question.
I think Louisville, they can come out on certain days and upset certain teams. They're not as good as they have been in years past.
For sure. Next, we're gonna move quickly through these fellas because we got some things we got to get into before we head out. But next we have Notre Dame versus Oregon. I believe it was. Or did Tennessee win the tiebreaker? It was Tennessee, actually. Let me go back to the comment. I got to make sure. I think tie.
Either way, I got Oregon.
Regardless of what, that's a
Yeah.
landslide.
Tennessee and Oregon. I got Oregon winning this game.
I don't know if it's a landslide. I think it stays within 2 touchdowns.
Gutman.
That's a damn
Oregon
landslide.
handles Tennessee. Tennessee is too one-dimensional and hasn't shown the ability to consistently pass well. I agree. And with their offense having the struggles it has, I think Oregon routes them.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. I don't know about the road. As I said, I think it's within 2 scores. Oregon, they don't really cover games that much.
14-17, about 2-score game, almost a 3-score game. I'm with you with that, Mike. Actually, let me choose my words carefully. Not route them, but they win comfortably. I'll say. Next, we have Ohio State and Miami.
Last week I was very high. No, so are you gonna say, Musa?
I might go Ohio State on this game. I'm not gonna lie. There's been too many question marks I'm seeing with Miami, with teams that they shouldn't be having struggles with. But it's to the point that Gutman made earlier. Their defense, the offense is there. The defense can't stop a parked car. So I'm gonna go Ohio State this matchup.
Last week I was very high on Miami. I think I even put them in the semifinals or national championship. But after last week, with their defense being able to hold Georgia Tech to not a crazy number like 40 or 50, like we've seen them in the past, being able to outscore other teams. If you can't outscore Georgia Tech on only that many points, that lowered my stock way down. I think SMU should be in this spot. I don't even think Miami should be there. And for that reason, I think Ohio State might be the second best team in the country right now. So I got Ohio State.
Same here. You ain't got to ask me.
Gutman, Ohio State easily because Miami has no defense. And any team that loses to Georgia Tech 2 years in a row is irrelevant. I forgot they did lose to them last year. So, yeah.
On that horrible no kneel down play.
Don't remind me. The PTSD.
Don't sleep on Tech and watch out for them the next couple of years.
Now, semifinals, we have Ohio State and Oregon, Ole Miss, Alabama. I would never thought about that being the 4. But we're going to start with Ohio State, Oregon. Who you guys got? The 2 best
Ohio
teams
State.
AP rise. Yeah, I think Ohio State wins this one.
Same. I don't see Ohio State losing to them 2 times in 1 year.
And next we have Bama, Ole Miss.
I guess Bama.
I got Bama, but this is current to me now.
I might go to Ole Miss on this one. I'm not gonna lie.
That bottom half of the bracket might be a very easy way for someone to get in the finals and semifinals and national championship. If we got those 2 teams coming out, like you have a huge benefit to being down on that part of the bracket. It looks like.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm leaning Ole Miss, but considering what Jalen Milroe can bring to the table on the offensive side of the ball, that's going to tire out Ole Miss's D-line and make them work and play out on the edge a lot more and out the box. That's going to work in Bama's favor. And then considering that I think Bama's defense can get stops against Ole Miss, that just means the defense for Ole Miss has to be on the field longer. So for that reason, I'm going to give Bama the edge. I wanted to go Ole Miss. I really do. But I think Jalen Milroe gets to a natty game.
The crazy thing is next Wednesday, this is all going to be different again.
And that's why I love it. Gutman, Ohio State, it's hard to beat a good team 3 times. And then he also left another comment. He said Bama will beat Ole Miss, and Ole Miss's weakness is their O-line. I don't think they'll be able to hold up against Bama. I have no pushbacks with that. I agree. So, in the natty game, that means we have Bama versus Ohio State.
I'll take Ohio State.
Same. I mean, ain't no disrespect to Bama, but I just don't think. I think they're gonna eat Milroe alive. Pause. Major pause. But Ohio State with this one.
Damn.
They're in my opinion, that defense is gonna take away that run. Once you take away that run, what else are you gonna do?
I don't. And see, the thing is, though, I'm torn with this because I agree with Ohio State's defense. It comes back to the same thing. Ohio State just every time I want to believe in them, when it's time for them to get it done against an SEC team, they fall, they crumble.
Alabama's defense is gonna have a lot to work with them two running backs over there.
I trust Alabama's defense more in the tight moments than I do Ohio State. And I think for some reason, if this was to be the Natty game matchup, barring all health, no health issues, I think while Ryan Williams and Moreau is gonna get them over the hump. So with that being said, I'm gonna go Bama. Gutman with a comment. I gotta go with my Tide, but it could go either way. And then he also said, I think Will Howard just isn't it. I agree with the Will Howard part.
He's not. I agree, but he got a lot of its around him.
That part. All right. So that is our projections for this week's bracket. We have Bama potentially. Well, it's a split actually, because Mike, you picked Ohio State too.
Yeah, I went with Ohio State.
We got a split. It could go. But the two teams we have is Bama and Ohio State. Currently, based on this bracket, this is subjected to change because until it's the final list, each week we're going to go over this. Every Wednesday we will go over the 12 brackets, the 12-team bracket for the playoff, and give our thoughts on it and who we think will come out based on the matchups. So if you're still watching, like and subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend and tell a friend. We got some more good content for you guys real quick. Now, we're going to get into, and we won't stay on this too long. We got some quick thoughts about Miami suffering their first loss of the season to Georgia Tech. We already touched base on it already, so we don't have to spend much time on this. But I just want to ask you guys, is this loss going to hurt them making the college football playoff, or will it hurt them enough to where they might not make it in the last few weeks?
It's all going to come down to that championship game. If they win the championship game, they'll be fine. If they lose it, it's going to put them in a world of hurt, and they're going to leave it up to the committee. And last year, they didn't value the ACC at all. Florida State didn't make it after they lost Jordan Travis and had an undefeated season. So will they be high on the ACC stock this year? I don't know. It doesn't look like it right now, though, if SMU is not in the bracket. And one thing I could say, too, is with Cam Ward, that play that he fumbled on, he had a wide receiver wide open on the other side of the field. If he found that guy, it would have been a crazy play. But I'm curious to see how he looks in the NFL too, because I think he has a lot of good qualities. But I just think this year's quarterback class is so weak. I think he'll probably be the first quarterback off the board. But I'm curious to see how highly NFL teams will value him.
Do you think, well, since we're still talking about Cam, do you think he has the chance to still win the Heisman?
If we're going to solely base it off the player itself, and it's a quarterback award, and we aren't including it on the team, I don't see why his stock fell in the last game at all. Like, his numbers are still off the charts. I don't think Genty should win the Heisman, just with the conference he plays in. Hunter, if we want to give it to the true best player in the country, let's give it to Hunter. If it's team award, we're giving it to Gabriel. But if we're going to the guy who put the biggest stats and probably helps his team the most, I'll go with help his team the most just because of the roster they have at Colorado. You got to give it to Cam Ward.
So wait, and I'm gonna let Peso go because you just said something that like a light went off in my head. You said if you're gonna give it to the person that helps their team the most and has the stats, it will be Cam Ward. But that same sentiment can go for Sean Genty, because who's on that Boise State team? And look at the numbers he's putting up. And they're winning.
Yeah, but it's the conference they play in. The competition's not the same. If Cam Ward wants to go play in the Mountain West, bro, he's going to be putting up video game numbers as well.
But that's not his fault, though. I feel like Sean, I think because he's been good last year too. I think he puts his numbers up in the SEC if he's on the right SEC team.
I don't. This is my issue with Shador too, and why I don't like him, and I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. But him and Dion are not stupid people. They're very smart. They know that they could go to a program and take it over. The offense is built around to showcase him, and the defense. He doesn't face a good defense yet. I sort of want to see Colorado get into the playoffs to see how they do to match up against an SEC defense. I don't see a single quality that makes him an NFL quarterback.
I'm gonna hold off on that. Peso, what you think about Miami losing to Georgia Tech, and do you think this can hurt them losing their chance to make the college football playoff? And then the second part, of course, is do you think Cam Ward is still in the running for the Heisman?
I believe I called it last week that Miami was gonna have a tough one against Georgia Tech.
Did
I called the upset. And I only called the upset because of what I seen from the Notre Dame and Georgia Tech game. I haven't watched Georgia Tech too much, but Miami better watch out. They have who they got left. I believe they got to play Syracuse. I know they got to play the last game of the season, but they got Wake Forest next up. Syracuse they got to watch out for. And then you got SMU. I believe they play Virginia and California. So if Miami loses one more game, SMU is going to take that spot because those are two ACC conference games for both teams to finish out the season. So I definitely think that Miami can't lose. They cannot lose. They got to win out. As far as the Heisman debate, I mean, it's tough right now. I think Travis deserves it. I think Cam Ward deserves it, and I do think Gentry deserves it. From all you guys' points of view, I think all three of those players are the most valuable players for their teams. And I wouldn't be mad either way that it goes. If it was my pick, I would love to see Travis Hunter get it. I think him not being on that team, no disrespect to Shador, but I don't think Colorado will be where they're at right now without Travis Hunter. The same thing could go for Cam Ward, and the same thing could go for Gentry. I just think Travis Hunter means more to his team.
I agree with that. He's playing both sides of the ball. He's playing a lot of snaps, and he's being productive on both sides. So I for sure agree with that. Miami's remaining schedule is Wake Forest this weekend. Not this weekend, the 23rd. And then they end with Syracuse, like you said. Yep.
That Syracuse game I'm going to be looking out for. I'm not worried about SMU. I think they're going to win out. But
I'm about to pull up their schedule now, too.
I believe it's Virginia and California, I believe.
And right now, they're first in the ACC. It's on the standing.
Second is Clemson, but that's only because they played one more game conference-wise than Miami. But if Miami loses a game, I don't see Clemson not being in that championship game.
Yeah, it's all
plays Boston College, Virginia, and then Cal.
Oh, SMU still got to play BC.
Yeah, I got BC winning that game.
Their quarterback just got injured, Castellanos.
I don't. Ever since about week 5, I'm looking forward to BC next year and the next following seasons and stuff like that. I just don't think that quarterback is the right fit for Bill O'Brien and his offensive scheme.
All right, moving on. We're gonna get right into it because we're gonna get ready to wrap up soon. Georgia falls out of the college football bracket. We already kind of touched base on this, but we already touched on it. Like, if they lose another game, they're not making it. But how do you guys feel about them losing to Ole Miss?
It's expected the way that Beck's playing right now. I think I picked Georgia, but that's just because I gave him the benefit of the doubt when I shouldn't have. I heard a former Georgia punter, I forget who his name was, say this week, any other Georgia team, if they had the depth, Beck would be benched right now, the way he's playing. So it's usually when you look at these top guys going to the NFL for quarterbacks, you look and they don't have many interceptions on the stat sheet. And he's had a lot, to say the least, recently. So if they can't overcome that, I don't see them making the playoffs.
Peso.
For me, it was a shocker, man. I'm not even gonna lie, and not even to be a Georgia fan, but offensively, we've been seeing what the hell Beck's been bringing all season. Nothing
Get
consistent.
him off the field.
Nothing
Get him
consistent.
off the field now.
And I agree. And I agree. But to see what Ole Miss did to that defense last week, I am afraid for them this week against Tennessee. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I wouldn't worry.
Yeah, but hopefully Ole Miss didn't smack the confidence out of them. And we'll see. We'll see moving forward, because my thing is with Georgia is that they're a team for these past couple years that knew how to put up points on anybody, go toe to toe with anybody. And the fact that we have Carson Beck that can't do that, we can't rely on him. He's not consistent. Kirby Smart could only do but so much. And you attack that defense the right way, man. I mean, what they averaging a little under 26 points a game this year.
Just
27
about.
points per game this year. It's the lowest that I've seen in the past couple of years since watching them. So it was a shocker to me. I mean, shout out to Ole Miss, but we'll see. We'll see about them moving on. If they lose one more game, I mean, in my opinion right now, they don't deserve to be in there. There's no other team I will put them over. I can't put them over Texas, even though they beat them. Ole Miss and Alabama did
It's
beat
your
Georgia.
honesty.
So I'm not mad that Georgia's not. They don't deserve to be in this bracket right now. Now, if they beat Tennessee, yeah, but come on, Tennessee. I'm not picking Alabama over Tennessee. I mean, I'm picking Alabama over Tennessee. I'm picking like Ole Miss over Tennessee.
Breaking news, y'all. We got a special guest here. He's here, the one, the only, the Rams fan himself. Our brother Ty has made it to the show. What up, Ty? How we doing?
That traffic was crazy.
Listen,
I hate
we
Massachusetts.
can talk about that off air. It took me a minute to get home. I had to run the young ones after school.
Try that Atlanta traffic. Hour and a half, no matter where you go.
Listen, that's why I come back. Hey, Pace, that's why I come and see you and the fam every once in a while. Because listen, we always go down there. We gotta get that JJ's. You know. But real quick, Ty, we just touching base real quick on Georgia loss to Ole Miss. There's like an echo. Y'all good?
Yeah. We can hear you. It might be Ty's mic.
Yeah, it might
No
be.
worries. But yeah, we're gonna touch base real quick on. Oh, Mike just left, but no worries. We usually touch base on the Georgia Ole Miss game, Ty. We got a comment real quick. Trey with the comment, "Go Dogs!" Yes, sir. I feel bad because your dogs gonna get left out. They ain't gonna make the playoff if they lose another game.
Yeah,
but Trey, we appreciate you with the comment.
Trey. Go Dogs, baby. Make sure you subscribe, man. Thanks for tuning in.
Not them Bulldogs. I'm more a Cane Corso kind of guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let me find out, Musa. That's your other YouTube account, and then you just put that comment. I appreciate that, though.
Listen, brother, I am not using that smiley face. I know I'm smiling now, so they ain't helping my case. But nah. He got Trey with another comment. Yeah, they have made me a little sad this year, but I still love them. You know, you got two natties, so it's all good. It's all good. But real quick, because we're gonna wrap it up in a second. So we have our last segment of the show. We're gonna get right into it. We got our Thursday night game for tomorrow. And are we doing we're doing another game, right? Or was it just a Thursday? College football. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got 2 college football games.
It's time to get into our last segment of the show. So, Mike, without further ado, take it away.
First game, we'll do the college first thing we're talking about because we can cover the NFL game, preview it a little bit too at the end. So, first game we got is Missouri at South Carolina. South Carolina is minus 12.5. I got straight up.
Syracuse at South Carolina.
No, Missouri.
Oh, Missouri at South Carolina.
Mike, what did I take? Missouri with the points?
No, you took him straight up, but Brady Cook might not be playing. He was out last week, but Pine still was able to beat Oklahoma. But the first week they could not put up a single touchdown, I believe.
I'm gonna go South Carolina.
Man, this
Straight
is tough. I'm gonna keep my
I'm
pick.
gonna go
I got
Missouri with the spread.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to go Missouri, but I don't know if Cook play. All right, let me say this: if Cook plays, I'll take Missouri.
So
You said he's questionable, right?
I don't know. I don't know his status, to be honest with you. Last week it was the morning of they announced he wasn't going to play, and Pine played. But so right now I assume he's questionable, especially based on the spread too. I don't think South Carolina would be a 12.5-point favorite over Missouri if Cook was playing.
True.
I'm gonna go South Carolina straight up. I can afford this because I'm winning in the points.
Barely. Clips is on your ass.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. Last college football game.
Catch me.
Last college football game of the week we got is Tennessee at Georgia. Georgia's -10, as we said earlier. Nico Niemaliava is questionable.
Trade no ball. Yep, they gonna win that game. Who y'all got for that game?
What's that matchup?
I got Georgia.
Oh, Georgia and Tennessee. I think I had Georgia with the straight up. Didn't I, Mike?
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah, Georgia straight up.
I'm gonna go with Bulldogs.
I'm going Georgia straight up. As I said earlier in the show, if you could bet on the spread, I'd definitely take Tennessee plus the points. But for this, I'm taking Georgia straight up.
So I got Georgia straight up as well.
All right. We'll do the NFL game too. We can say some comments on it too. My guess is if we all want to. We got the Commanders at the Eagles. The Eagles are -3.5. I have the Commanders straight up.
Woo,
This
it's the
is a
game of the
big
week.
game. Even though then I picked Pittsburgh to win Sunday, so it's a big game because this can break the division right here. And if those who hasn't been watching our YouTube channel, when we did our predictions for the division winners, I had the Commanders. Everyone looked at me like I was crazy, and I told them why. And I'm looking like a genius. I ain't a genius, far from that. But this is gonna be tough. I really want to pick the Eagles, but I'm gonna go Commanders because I'm gonna be consistent. So Commanders, I got them straight up.
Everyone's healthy for the Eagles this game too. AJ, and they're 6-0, I believe, when AJ Brown's on the field, but everyone's back. Got it. Doesn't have an injury designation. I know the injury report came out like an hour before we went on air tonight.
Philadelphia's averaging 15 plus points with AJ Brown since he's been back. I got Philadelphia with this one. What's the spread?
3.5.
I'm gonna go straight up. They're undefeated since he's been back, like you said, Mike. And Commander's been kind of like scraping by, I feel like, recently and stuff. So
yeah, they're hitting their little wall. It happens. I expected this with having a rookie, and teams are starting to make adjustments because, like I said, the reason why I picked them was because of the offense, not the defense. Yeah. So
I just feel like Philly's just now like hitting their ceiling a bit.
Trey, you're not missing too much because it's been a lot of some injuries. Teams are starting to get healthy. There's some good ball being played though. Don't get me wrong, but like the best player in the league ain't playing like the best player in the league in Patrick Mahomes. But the real best football player, like not quarterback, football player, is Lamar Jackson. He's showing why he's about to be a 3-time MVP. But yeah, the Commanders are playing really good.
Who you got, Ty?
I'm gonna actually go with Philly straight up. Just because I feel like the Commanders' schedule after that's pretty easy. If they can beat the Eagles tomorrow night, they can pretty much win every other game. And I feel like that's, I don't know, I don't see that happening. I feel like the Eagles, since they have a tougher schedule, I think that Week 17 matchup definitely is going to decide the division. So I think the Eagles sneak by in this one, but when it comes down to that second meeting later on in the season, I could definitely see the Commanders winning the division off of that alone.
So Lamar is the GOAT. I agree with those points Peso made about the Eagles. I really want to pick the Eagles because they're home and they're healthy and they got all the pieces and everything. They're starting to have everything click. But I'm gonna be a little biased and be like, Mike, I don't trust the quarterback. I don't trust the coach there. So I'm going with the Commanders.
I'm gonna say straight up. You good, bud.
Nah, at the end of the day, it's the Eagles. So
yeah, I think they suck. Quite frankly, I think they're product of their schedule. I think the coach sucks. I think it'll be just like last year. They start off 8-1 and then lost 6 out of the last 7 in a first round exit. I think we'll have something similar happen this year. That's if they even make the playoffs. I could see them miss it outright, and if they do, I think they're out first round. I think the Commanders are the far superior